Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest and greatest Thumbtack webinar. We're so glad that you've joined us today. We are broadcasting live from Salt Lake City in one of the Thumbtack offices, and we're going to get started real soon, but we want to just first thank you for not only attending and learning with us today, but also just for being part of the Thumbtack community. We're really glad to have all of you. We're excited to shed some light and some insights into some of the factors that determine search results and what you can do as a pro to boost your ranking and be seen by more and more customers. A couple housekeeping items today. This will take about 45 minutes. We're going to cut that in half. The first half will be a 20-25 minute presentation, and then the second half will be Q&A. So get your questions ready. We love Q&A. We love answering questions. We love being helpful. There's also a chat window there on the right-hand side where you can ask us questions along the way. We have one of our all-star onboarding specialists, Brennel. She'll be answering questions along the way, and then again, of course, at the end, you'll have some chances to ask some more questions there. So we also encourage you to log into your own Thumbtack profile, your pro profile if possible, and kind of follow along with us. First, some introductions. Myself, my name's Dan. I am on the onboarding team here at Thumbtack. We have the really, really fun job of helping pros every single day get set up for success. And then I'm joined by my friend Travis. Hello, Travis.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Yeah, my name's Travis. I'm one of the education specialists here at Thumbtack, and I get to work with this great onboarding team and just try to find new ways to help make Thumbtack easy to understand and shed some insight how you can be successful. But we also have plenty of people in the audience today, and we want to get to know a little bit about you as well. So Dan, I believe, was going to launch a quick poll, and I think you should be seeing that now.
There you go. Yeah, so you should see a poll. Tell us which category you primarily work with on Thumbtack. What is your occupation? And we'll share out the results in just a minute. Travis is going to go, he's going to take us through some of the live examples on Thumbtack. So whichever category has the most participants today, we'll use that for our live example. And I see that it's working. You guys are filling that out right now.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. I'm excited to see those results. And so while you're all answering that, I'll give us a quick overview of the content, and then that'll give us time to get those results. So we're going to start with seeing the search results as a customer. I think it's oftentimes we get the question, okay, well, we're pros in the audience. Why are we looking at customer search results? It's going to be really important for us to kind of frame ourselves in what they're seeing, so then we can address, what we can do to affect that situation. After we've kind of got that common ground, that common basis, we'll cover those 5 factors that you can exert your control over that help influence where you rank. We have a few common questions we get about ranking that we'll address that we think might be high on the top of your minds, and then we will get to that kind of custom questions from the audience, which we're very excited about.
Yes.
So that kind of covers the high level overview. Dan, are those poll results ready?
Yes, we have a good mix of folks today. We have folks from the like home industry, that's, house cleaning, handyman. We have events, DJ catering. Well, gosh, all across the board. But the winner of today's poll is the home category. So that would be like house cleaning, handyman. So let's go with that today.
All right. So for those live demos, do house cleaning or?
Yeah. Let's do house cleaning.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for being here with us today. It's always so fun to see kind of the breadth and variety of industries that are with us. So as mentioned, we're going to dive right into those search results. So I'm actually going to take us over to the customer side of the app. And let's just take a look at what they're seeing, and we will use the house cleaning category for that. So, most Thumbtack customers arrive at a landing page like this. Oftentimes it pre-populates their zip code. We try to make it as easy as possible for them to get those results that are relevant in their area. I'll do that house cleaning search, and immediately I start seeing a list of pros that Thumbtack believes is qualified and ready to do the work in this area, along with some filters. And this is an important screen to kind of spend some time on and really familiarize ourselves. What is it that the customer, what's that first impression of me going to be? So I have some filters that I can work with. So let's say I'm trying to get cleaning for a 2-bedroom home and a 1-bathroom, And as the customer, myself in this situation, is engaging with these details, you'll see that things are updating in the list. Like the list of pros might be changing, the estimated prices might be updating. We're trying to get them to give you as much information as possible that will kind of reflect how you can accurately, pursue that job and have as much information as you can. But oftentimes customers will come in and kind of engage with the filters, but then they might get into just kind of searching through the list. So they've kind of told us all they want to, and then they're going to kind of go through. And on this screen, some of the things that stands out most to customers is going to be, the number of reviews, the star rating. They look for like friendly pictures. So I'm actually going to click into Factory Solutions. I see they have a great picture. They're top pro, tons of great reviews. And I have an estimated price, which is always something that customers might be interested in knowing. And then once they're here, they're going to focus on things like, okay, well, I've got my first level overview. Now let me dive in and get to know them a bit more. So we have the introduction that they're going to read, where you have an opportunity to tell that customer all about what makes your business unique, anything they may need to know that wasn't included elsewhere. I can see photos and videos, which is a wonderful way, like spotless floor cleaning here. We see a lot of pros doing like before and afters. All sorts of details about specialties they offer, a great review area where I see they have a wonderful star rating and I can read those specific comments that were left and try to kind of fill in the blanks for the project I have. And then we have, looks like that's it for this profile. So if I'm interested as the customer and working with them, I'm then going to kind of reach out through one of these areas, checking their availability, messaging, or requesting to call directly. And that's going to then take me through a quick little flow that encourages the customer to give even more information, which then gives you as much information as possible when that lead arrives in your inbox. So that's it at a high level. And this is going to be really different for each of your categories. So we always recommend, come do a quick search for the work that you offer and see what it is that your competition can be doing and what those customers are seeing. So it's going to be really important to know that all of those questions will be different for each category on Thumbtack.
Absolutely. Now, we hear from a lot of pros that want to be on the very top of this list. They get really hung up on being the first pro. But remember, customers love to shop around. They love to window shop, and they love to compare profiles. So they'll choose 3 or 4 from this list and do some comparison shopping. So don't get too hung up on being the very top pro.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point. Obviously, ranking will help, getting seen initially, but really it's those details once that customer clicks into the profile that's really going to give them that level of education and feel like they're developing that relationship with you. So we will give all the tools we can to help influence ranking, but there's going to be a lot more to do after that to make sure that you're kind of converting those views into jobs. So that's kind of our quick search results overview. Again, encourage you to take a look at your own and see what you might how you might apply these things to your individual categories. But let's switch gears to those ranking factors, what we're here to cover and shed some insight on today. So at a high level, here's the overview of those ranking factors. The 5 things you can influence would be having a great profile and media section, giving customers some pricing information, some pricing transparency up front, building a great base of high star rating reviews and just a lot of reviews, having great responsiveness, which is kind of getting back to customers quickly and well, and professional messaging, and then a feature called Promote, which we'll dive into a bit later on. So now that you kind of have an idea of what we're going to cover, we'll go into each of these more in depth and then actually switch to a pro account and show where you can kind of make these changes in your own account as well. So let's dive right in, but I think we have some stats about each one. Essentially, these are factors because they're also making, they're making a great customer experience, but they're also helping you get hired more often when you're doing them correctly. So diving right into profile and media, we're seeing that 88% of hires on Thumbtack are going to pros with, a profile picture and at least 1 or 2 pictures in their media section. So it's a no-brainer if you're really trying to catch customers' attention. These are going to be 2 of the earliest factors that you can change that will be hugely important. You want to have the chance to get all of these jobs, and if you're not doing these areas, it's losing a big chunk of them right off the bat. So let's take a look at a pro account, and I've set up a test account here. We'll call it Riverton Cleaners. We're in the Riverton area. And so this is what I'm seeing on the back end as a pro, which you're all probably pretty familiar with. But you can see here, I've got a pretty blank profile. It's not gonna do a whole lot for capturing their attention. So the key thing we want to focus on in profile is going to be, filling out a great introduction, which you'll find right around here. You can edit, give the customer some story about your business, some detail about maybe what it's like to work with you. Maybe there's going to be an introductory call or, a free consultation, however you decide to do your business. That's a great way to outline it. So having a great introduction, having these frequently asked questions at the bottom is going to be hugely important. This we often find customers don't really know the questions they should be asking. They're not the experts in your field like you are. So giving them all sorts of information can really help them be educated and be more ready to go when they do reach out to you. You saw me scroll past reviews. Reviews is a section all in and of itself. We'll cover that a bit more in depth later on. And then really the other part of profile we want to cover right now is where you go to edit your photos and videos. It's hugely important. So come in, you can just kind of drag and drop pictures from your desktop. You can upload and, select one from your computer. You can do this directly from the Thumbtack Pro app on your phone as well. And then if you have, even a YouTube or a Vimeo channel, give them a quick introduction video. If photos are a great way to set yourself apart, videos can do, even more.
All right. Hey, this is really an opportunity for you to take pride in what you do. Like, this is your business. You have expertise and skill in this area. So we want you to show off with great pictures, with videos, with a great introduction. Just look at this as kind of like your business card or a short photo album, because customers don't want to imagine what they're hiring. They want to see it. They want to see it to believe it.
Absolutely. The picture's worth 1,000 words. So profile is going to be that first area where you can really make a huge impact early on. It'll boost your ranking and then give them that information when they get there. And that takes us to our second point today, which is pricing. Now, we want to make a quick mention. We know pricing can be incredibly difficult to kind of give customers insight into before you've had conversations with them. And I'll switch back to those search results that we had. We do everything we can to let customers know that these are like ranges of pricing or estimates, and that the final price will be something they need to agree upon with you when they reach out. That said, giving customers some price information before they reach out is hugely important. One of the big things they're going to be concerned about is, if they can afford to work with you. And so we're finding that when pros are able to give price information, they're converting those leads into jobs up to 50% more often. Those customers that are reaching out to them are better educated and better ready to go. And as we want to get the most value out of these leads. And so if this is something that's going to directly impact how often you're getting hired, it's really something we should strive to make work. So let's go into our pro account and show where we can set our pricing information. And you'll notice that in my account, I'm going to do this on the services, which is where everyone will. But for my business, I've set up a few services. So pricing you'll do within each service. You'll set it uniquely for the different type of work you do. So let's come in. We'll do one for our basic house cleaning business here. And prices is going to be right up here up top. So you can set up, maybe I do standard cleanings, deep or move out. Those will obviously be priced differently. And then I can come in and enter the prices I offer. Now, we also, in some categories, are able to say what the average on Thumbtack is to kind of help you get a baseline and know what your customers are maybe seeing across the marketplace. So we really encourage you, come in, fill all these out. You'll see here, I've got it hidden. You want to post those prices so it's visible on your profile and so those customers can see them. But a quick note before we move on, we mentioned how we know it can be really tricky for some industries to price without having that conversation with the customer. So 2 things to do there. If you have difficulty doing that, come give us feedback. Let us know if that price sheet that we have built in the app doesn't quite work for you. Let us know. We do review all of that. We do our best to try to make it work for the majority of our population. But we need that feedback to improve the system for you. And then what can you do while you're waiting? You know, maybe you've given feedback and this isn't going to work. Well, that's where we would come encourage you to go to that introduction in the profile and give them some detail about what it looks like. So maybe you use your introduction to say, hey, you know, pricing is something we'll work out together. Let's have a quick call. You know, we'll take 20 minutes to discuss some details. Maybe I need to do a site visit. And there's also one of the frequently asked questions where you have an opportunity to write about that as well. So even if you're not able to use those sheets, do everything you can to give them some information ahead of time.
Right. So, hey, Mike, you know, I work at Thumbtack, but I'm also a customer. We use Thumbtack ourselves a lot. And as a customer, you know, when I'm looking to hire a pro, I typically have an estimated or approximate budget in mind. You know, I have a range, but we want to encourage you, like, don't just lowball your price just to capture customers' attention. Customers react pretty poorly when they're told one price and then they're given a whole new one, you know, when they actually try and hire you. We found that a lot of customers will just drop out of the conversation or leave a bad review, you know, if they're told one thing and then given another. So be honest in your pricing according to what you charge. You can't game the system by dropping your price, hoping that you'll show up more. Really, because at the end of the day, customers want the right pro for the right job. And pricing is just really it's only just one factor. You know, when I was, my wife and I just moved into a house back in December. And when we moved in, we had to do a ton of yard cleanup. There was just branches, leaves, grass everywhere. We created a huge pile into our yard. And when we went on Thumbtack to hire somebody to haul it away, the most important thing to us was availability and responsiveness. Yeah, we had a price range. We had a budget for it. But really the most important thing was that a pro could get there that day and haul it away. So pricing was just, again, one of the many factors in hiring somebody.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Obviously, all of these things are just individual pieces of the puzzle. So it's going to really be important how they interact. And we want to do our best to give information across each, but certainly there's no one factor that's going to, you know, make or break for any given customer.
All right.
So let's move on to reviews. I mentioned this would be something that we called out more specifically later on. It's hugely important. It's kind of a no-brainer as well. You know, 97% of customers online report that they're looking to reviews as one of the most important factors in their hiring or purchasing decisions. You know, and it makes sense. We're social creatures. You know, we really want to know that we can trust, you know, this pro that we maybe had no knowledge of before, and seeing what our peers say and what, you know, other people's past experiences have been is one of the best ways for them to really kind of accelerate that relationship and get to know you and trust you early on. So because of that, we do prioritize high star ratings and high number of reviews in those search results. So getting more reviews will help boost you in that list. So we do a lot of things in Thumbtack to try to help you get these reviews, but let's show what you can do as well to encourage customers to leave new reviews as you're going. So back to our pro account, it's going to be found in the profile again. You have the whole reviews widget, and here, you know, I have this test account, I have 0 reviews. That's probably not going to work too well for me as a pro. So you'll come in and ask for reviews. When you're starting out, we do a couple things that will help you get started. You can get up to 10 reviews from previous customers. You can import from maybe a Facebook business page or a Google business page. And if you haven't set those up, you can send like an individual kind of email list by just entering in past customer emails here. What that's going to do is generate this email on your behalf that will then say, hey, you know, I'm started on a new platform. We really appreciated our working relationship. You know, please leave me a review here to help me get started. So those 10 reviews to boost yourself early on can be a great way to kind of kickstart a new journey there.
All right. Hey, one of the fastest ways to get reviews from past customers is you can just click on what we have at the bottom there saying get shareable link. This is a link that you can copy and paste into a text or an email. You can customize your message to the past customer. You can personalize it. You can say, hey, I'm setting up my profile on Thumbtack. I'd love a review from you. Just click on this link. We found it's one of the fastest ways to get a ton of reviews from past customers.
I think that's such a good point. You know, that will let you kind of, it takes a little more work. You can custom write the message that goes with it, but it will have that personal touch and, you know, really resonate with that customer. So in addition to asking for those past reviews, be sure when you are winning jobs on Thumbtack and doing that work to just continue asking for those reviews each time, each new customer. Thumbtack will encourage the customer to do it on your behalf, but it obviously resonates more coming from you. And then we also respond to the reviews you receive. Customers really like knowing that, once they have left you a review, that you're seeing it, that you're still engaging with it. And it really helps show the depth of your relationship with your customers to those new prospective ones who might be finding you in the results.
All right.
So our fourth topic today is responsiveness. At its core, responsiveness is responding quickly to new leads coming in, responding in a professional manner, and really addressing the core of their concerns. And it's hugely important. This is, if your profile was the first impression, this is the first kind of steps into conversation that you're having. The data really reflects how important this is too. We're finding in studies with some of our pro accounts that when they're able to respond to new leads within the first half hour, they're converting those to hires up to twice as often. Obviously, being able to be the first at bat there, the first one that's able to get to that customer is hugely important. And sometimes a half hour, you're on the job, it's not totally doable. But, even within the first 1 to 2 hours, it's drastically increasing the ability that you're able to convert those two jobs up to as much as 50%.
For sure. Hey, one of the things I love to talk about with our new pros is responsiveness. Personally, I think it's one of the most important things that's going to provide a great customer experience. So think of it this way. When a customer reaches out to you, that is the moment in time they are most excited to get something done. That's when they are most excited to hire you, to spend money. They've looked at this list of pros and they've chosen you out of all the pros on that list. And so every minute that goes by that you don't respond is another minute they're going to start looking for another pro, or they're going to start going to another site, or they're going to talk to their neighbor. And so, gosh, we can't emphasize enough how a good, quick response, how valuable that is.
Absolutely. So the way you signal to us, to Thumbtack, that you're a responsive pro and, kind of providing that best customer experience is by accepting and declining new leads that come in as soon as possible. Now, declining is an important note there. If you don't want to do the work, declining actually still will help your response time, because it's telling that customer, okay, it's time to look elsewhere. Maybe this wasn't the perfect fit. So it still helps give them that good experience. We do use it as a signal of your overall response time. As a general rule of thumb, you should at least try to respond to all new leads, or at least 75% of them, within the first 24 hours. And as we mentioned, 24 hours, that's a long time, half hour, 1 to 2 hours, even better. But this number here, that actually aligns with our Top Pro program. So if you're able to do that, that's one step closer to having even another great distinction. And then, of course, response speed isn't everything. Always be sure that you're kind of addressing the specifics of their lead, of the message they wrote, and kind of giving them clear next steps. That response quality is going to be a hugely important factor as well.
Right. And if you look in search results, we actually call out the pros that respond quickly. We will reward the pros that respond quickly. So we have, if some customers are looking to, if that's the most important thing to them, we'll actually highlight the pros that respond quickly. If you think about just other sites like, Airbnb and Uber, like all those sites have a ton of success because, those pros and professionals are responding quickly. So yeah. Quick response, thorough response, use the customer's name, show some excitement. All those little things will really help you win more jobs.
Perfect. That's such an important thing to note. Thanks, Dan. And that takes us to our final aspect of influencing search results ranking, which is promoting your business. Now, this is pretty closely tied into responsiveness, and we'll take some time to, outline exactly what this means and what you can do to influence it. Pros that are promoting their business are receiving up to 3 times as many profile views. And one of the reasons, we know we can boost that in the ranking because this is so closely tied to being able to respond positively to customers. Because at its core, promoting your business is telling us exactly the types of jobs you always want. When you make a Thumbtack account, your profile tells us what you can do possibly, but promoting is, these are the leads, these are the types of leads I am always interested in. So for those leads, you tell us that we'll automatically pay for those up front. So we know that these customers are more likely to get a positive response and get that work done. which ultimately, leads them coming back and coming to do more work for Thumbtack Pros and, more work in your pocket. So because of that positive response, the high connection there, we're able to give it a boost in search results ranking. But we also want to say, as a thank you for providing such a great customer experience, each of these promoted leads, you will get a 20% discount from the normal cost. So not only are you able to get more views and more of the leads for the jobs you want most, you will be getting them at a discount.
Yes. So promoting your business, promoting your service, it's really how Thumbtack works best. We are all about, the perfect match, getting the perfect customer, the perfect lead into your inbox. And so it is critical to your success to set promote up. One thing we want to clarify is that promoting your business isn't a temporary ad campaign that we offer to just boost your profile or get you, higher ranked, or it's really, promoting is something that you will do indefinitely. It's also important to note that by promoting your business, this doesn't mean that you'll automatically get a job. It'll get you in front of more customers and hopefully will get you more leads, but winning the job is still up to you. Promoting just ensures you're just getting more in front of more of the right customers. Does that make sense?
That's such a good explanation. Thanks, Dan. So let's take a quick moment and see where that is in the product. So that's going to be done in my services tab, and you'll set this up unique for each service you offer. So for instance, in my account, maybe I'm able to do both commercial and house cleaning, but let's say commercial leads are the ones that I want almost all the time. So maybe I wouldn't promote my house cleaning, but I would come in and do commercial. So there's going to be all sorts of explanation about what this entails. You'll come when you decide that you want to kind of target those specific leads. Come in, go through this promote flow. It will give you a little more information about it. And then you'll go through and set up travel areas that you're always interested in working in, job preferences. It might have some defaults suggested. I can come in and uncheck some, check as much as I'm able to. I can save it for one of my services or all if my travel areas are going to be the same. I then can give specific hours that I work, and that I'm always interested in doing. I'll just say, okay, I'm on these. And I'm kind of speeding through here for the sake of discussion today because we have a lot to cover, but it's going to be hugely important that you take a lot of time when you're setting up these preferences and really be critical and thinking about, what do I want to do exactly? So be sure you're really reading these thoroughly. Which types of jobs do I want? Let me uncheck the ones, maybe I'm not interested in just promoting one-time cleanings. Maybe I'm only interested in the recurring ones. So take a careful view there. And that's really it at its core. And then at that point, I'm going to set my budget, and once I enter all my info in, I will finish that setup as well. So promoting, as Dan mentioned, it's the key way to kind of get those customers and use Thumbtack at the best return.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, hey, it's super important that we help our customers, have the best experience possible. At Thumbtack, we are all about helping our pros, provide a great customer experience. And all the things that we've gone through today really help that, right? So it's important to know that each one of those factors that we've gone through today, ending with promote, they're all important. And when they're each done well, it really provides the best customer experience possible.
Yeah, that's so, I couldn't agree more. I think each of these will help your ranking, will help provide a great experience for customers, and ultimately increase your likelihood of a hire as well. So I think with that, we're kind of ready to move on to the questions, right, Jim?
All right. This is my favorite part. This is why I work at Thumbtack, actually. It's to help pros answer questions. So we're going to start out real quick. Some of the common questions that we get every week from new pros starting out is, hey, are there other ranking factors that I can't influence?
That's a great question. There are going to be other factors like maybe proximity to the job poster. We can't really get up and move too easily. So these 5 things we've covered today will have big impacts on your ranking, but there might be other smaller variables along the way.
Okay, say I'm a new pro and I just want to get to the top of search results. Can I just pay for a top spot?
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer is no. There is no sort of paying for a top spot. We want everything that kind of influences these ranking factors to be signals of quality. we want customers to trust that the pros they're finding are the ones that can do their job. So there's no sort of pay to play there or ad campaign to boost yourself artificially.
Great. And I guess to follow up with that, well, what if I'm a new pro and I'm entering a really competitive market where, maybe there's pros that have been on Thumbtack for 5-6 years, they have 100 reviews, and I'm just getting started out. Like, how do I compete with them?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's absolutely kind of the first thing I would say is kind of do everything we've talked about today. Set up a great profile, make your photo and video area look fantastic. Ask those past customers for those 10 reviews to kind of boost yourself up. But we will go over quickly one area. There is the Jobs tab. Jobs is an area where you'll see jobs where customers have reached out to other pros but maybe not heard back yet. So this is still work that's like waiting to be done. So this is not the area to focus in because the customers here have already reached out to other pros. They might already be in the midst of figuring out that job. But if you're really trying to start out new and hustle to fill the calendar, this can be an area to come in and try to reach out to those customers and see, maybe I can win the work when that other pro maybe just didn't get back. Right.
Let me add something to the Jobs tab. This is really an opportunity for new pros just getting started out on Thumbtack. Maybe you just need some more reviews. This is a great place to hang out and maybe take jobs from other pros who haven't responded quickly. Again, we can't emphasize enough the importance of responding quickly. And here you can see if a pro has responded to a request they've gotten or not. So good place to hustle.
Absolutely.
All right. So, hey, before we get into the QA, I'm going to post a link here to a survey. At Thumbtack, we are always trying to improve, right? We always want to make things better. And so we'd love your feedback just around this webinar. If there's things that you love, things you'd like to maybe have done better, things you'd like maybe more of in the next one, let us know. And we will do our best to continue making these webinars better. I got to find the link here. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, while Dan is posting that link, I think now is also the time where we can take those questions. So you'll see him post that in chat, and then he will kind of keep an eye on that chat window and read out the questions that we have. So we're here and we're excited and ready. So Dan, let me know what the first questions are.
All right. So yeah, you'll see the link to the survey in the chat window there. First question. How do I know when a customer actually contacts me? You say I need to respond quickly. How do I know that a customer has actually reached out to me? Where does that go?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's take a quick look at the app again. So you're going to see customers that have reached out to you through those search results. Those leads will appear in the inbox. So mine's empty here. This is just a test account, but the leads will come in and you'll be able to click into each one and see the details of the job. But if we want to take a step back and say, okay, well, how am I even notified that I should check my inbox? You'll go through your notification settings by clicking your profile picture and going into those settings. Notifications is found here. We can't recommend highly enough to actually install the Thumbtack Pro app and enable those notifications on your phone. It's going to be one of the best ways to be notified immediately about new leads coming in. But then also make sure that you have the email, text message alerts, everything set up. So come in, set those notifications to what really works for you and your business. Great question.
All right. Hey, another question that's just come in. In search results, I see some pros have a top pro badge. What's that all about and how do I get it?
Oh yeah, we mentioned top pro a little bit earlier on. So top pro is, I think it's maybe like the top 4% of pros or something like that currently. Okay. But the factors that go into that are having, I believe it is 5 or more verified reviews on Thumbtack within the past 6-month period, keeping that star rating above a 4.8. And also, as we mentioned, responding to 3/4 of your contacts within the first 24 hours. So it's just showing that you're doing a lot of work, you're highly rated when you do it, and that you're providing that great responsive experience for customers. We have new top pros go out, I believe, every January and July. So you have time now to work towards getting top pro for this first half of the year and then kind of refining from there.
Okay. Good stuff. Question from Samara. can you give me more insights on how we, Thumbtack, price leads?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll do everything I can.
Yeah.
Pricing is going to be specific to each category. You know, obviously we want it to be a good return on investment for you, that the price you're spending on leads is worthwhile for the amount you'd be earning on the jobs. So we give a range for leads because essentially we're doing everything we can to track the level of intent that these customers have. So, you know, we want to give you a discount on leads, say if the customer seems to be, you know, just in the exploratory phases or you know, maybe not quite as ready to hire. So where can we go to find the range of prices for our categories? That's going to be in your services tab, and I'll click into house cleaning here and show you where I find that. So within my service for house cleaning, I go to my budget page, and then in these frequently asked questions, how much do I pay? Click down on that. You'll see the range that usually for house cleaning, they're between $5 and $24. And again, why do we have that range? Well, as we saw in the house cleaning flow, you know, some of these customers might be telling us, hey, I only want it the one time, so this job might not be as valuable for you as a recurring cleaning. So we're trying to price it as fairly as possible. I just recommend come to that how much do I pay, which is found under the budget tab of your service. So great question, and thank you for helping us kind of shed more light into that.
All right. Hey, here's a question from Dee. Are customers allowed to reach out to multiple pros for the jobs?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's take a look at that customer search results. So the short answer is yes, customers can reach out to more than one pro. Oftentimes we see customers will reach out to maybe 2 or 3. Sometimes they really fall in love with one result and just reach out to that pro. But that actually ties back to the pricing. You know, we're trying to find ways to say like, hey, if this customer has reached out to, you know, a dozen pros, say, you know, each pro has less of a chance to win that one. So we want to price that accordingly and maybe drop that for everybody. So, you know, when we see like an exclusive lead, like if that customer really only reached out to you, we will give in the insights to each lead kind of a view where you can see how many customers that unique, or excuse me, how many pros that customer reached out to. But yeah, they have that ability. I wouldn't say exactly, you know, how many, without knowing your category, I couldn't tell you the average for that one, but be sure to just check the insights on each lead so you can see how many that customer has done.
All right. Hey, we mentioned the importance of a great profile picture. Charlie asks, hey, if I don't have a really expensive camera, how do I take a great profile picture?
Oh, that's a great
insights on that.
That's a great question. I'm not a photography expert, and I'm sure there are some in our audience who probably are. So we have some help articles where we've kind of collected the best tips from our photography pros. I will send a link to one of these articles in our follow-up today where you can kind of review that more in depth. But really, you can take great pictures on a phone these days. The key is going to be like lighting and setting up the backdrop of the photo itself. So we'll send that article that has a little more details there. But yeah, it's certainly something that can be done with just a little bit of prep.
For sure. Hey, let's talk about pricing a little bit more. Beth asks a really great question. A lot of pros ask this every day. She says, I'm nervous to put pricing up. My prices might be higher than most pros, but I don't want to be passed up. Should I lower my pricing? What should I do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think so much of it is, and I love what you mentioned earlier, Dan, you know, we're not trying to encourage like pros to show lower prices or anything to kind of artificially like make customers think it's lower than it really is. And I loved your example of the yard cleanup. Essentially, pricing is one factor, but oftentimes like, you know, availability and urgency of the job will be the other. So you're seeing here that like, you know, this pro is a bit more expensive than the one below them. So there's no sort of emphasis on lower pricing in those lists. But ultimately, I think I would ask yourself, like, do I want to kind of target those customers that have higher budgets and, you know, maybe higher quality expectations, or do I need to maybe drop it a little lower? So again, our system won't encourage one over the other, but really it's a question to ask for the circumstances you're looking for those customers.
It's also important to know that we have several different types of customers that use Thumbtack. We have some customers that come to Thumbtack, and the most important thing to them is to get the job done as soon as possible. They need something hauled away. Maybe they're moving across the state. They need something built or fixed. For a plumber, sometimes they'll pay as much as possible to get a plumber in right away. So you have the customers that need it done quickly. We have other customers that come to Thumbtack and they love to shop. They're gonna pull up 10 different profiles before they make a decision. They're gonna read every FAQ. They're gonna look at pictures. They will look at pricing, but they really want the right pro for the right job. And then, of course, we have some customers that come where pricing is the most important factor. And so, again, that's why every single element to your profile is important, not just the pricing, but a complete profile is the best profile.
Yeah.
All right. A couple other questions. What happens if I get leads outside of my travel area? How can I adjust where I will and won't accept different jobs in terms of travel area?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me take us back to the product. So if you're promoting, if you've told us those preferences for the travel areas where you always want leads, the area you would change is found in your services tab under that promote area. Say, okay, the circumstances have changed. I no longer want, this county, or I can set, a radius that I will travel as well. That said, there's a couple important things to think about here. Customers can still find you. Say I have a customer that lives right outside my search zone, but found me in those search results and still reached out. They can still contact you through those search results if they like everything else about your business, but you wouldn't be charged for that lead unless you accept that conversation. So we still want to kind of showcase and make that available in case maybe all the other details of their job were so great that it is something you're interested in going a little further, but we give you that level of control and the ability to decline it. The other important factor that we talked about, this jobs tab earlier on, jobs here are just kind of everything in your nearby marketplace. So those won't reflect those travel preferences that you set. These are essentially jobs that, hey, they're in the neighborhood, maybe they're further, maybe they're in the zone you want. But again, these are they've already reached out elsewhere. You're able to kind of decide if there's something you want to pursue or not. But really, that travel is going to be affected. The preferences you set will affect those customers that find you directly through the search results,
right,
not in the jobs tab. Great question.
Here's a question we get a lot. Jerry asks, hey, he'll get a lead or a customer will reach out to him. And, as a pro, he responds. But sometimes the customer just disappears. They don't actually respond back to me. What do I do here? Jerry, that's a great question. It's one we answer all the time. And that's, responsiveness is great, but keep in mind that this is not an issue unique to Thumbtack. This is what some expert advice from Brenna. It is the customer's nature to not respond back to every single professional, but our prices are accommodating for that. But once you start engaging with a customer, if you've been charged for that lead, feel free to follow up and let them know that you're still available to work with them. Maybe ask some open-ended questions. Let them know you're available and excited to work with them. Once you start the conversation, feel free to continue engaging with that customer.
Yeah, we actually recently interviewed one of our top pros. I was lucky enough to be on that, and she mentioned when she had these customers that kind of fall off the map,
right,
she would send them a follow-up email once weekly just to say, hey, I'm still available.
Yes.
Maybe they just forgot about the app. And she was finding that she was converting those sort of lost leads into jobs about 20% of the time. So really helping her recover that expense there. So love your tip, Dan. Do follow up. But yeah, and one of the things you can do, obviously, the urgency of these requests, customers are most interested the moment they submit the lead. Lowering that response time is going to decrease the likelihood of that happening.
Okay. Lastly, if I have Promote on and I get a lead that I can't do, maybe it's a job, maybe I'm just slammed. I have too many, jobs going on. Will I still be charged for that lead if it's a promoted lead?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's take a look at that. So at its core, because Promote is telling us which leads you always want to do, you are automatically paying for those. But we, of course, want to like limit the instances where that's happening. So if you're finding yourself receiving a promoted lead that you don't want often, that means it's time to come reevaluate the preferences we set. So maybe I would come in and I'd narrow down those job types, so that, okay, let's say I don't also want the less than once a month. Maybe I want them more often.
Right.
So take a look at what it is about that lead that means you didn't want it, so we could then kind of refine ourselves there. And of course, that's one of the big reasons we want to give the discount on these leads. Maybe occasionally one sneaks through that isn't a perfect fit, but we're hoping that all told, that it's still a savings for you.
All right. Let's see. What other kind of questions are out there?
But great questions. I think we might have a few more, so we can stay on just a little bit longer and try to take a look at these. If Dan, you let me know if anything has come in there.
All right. Well, gosh, there's a lot. Brenna is answering as many as she can.
And while we're kind of looking at the last few questions coming in, we know everybody has busy days. We are at time. We can stay on and answer a few more for those that are wanting to stay and hear the answers. If you do need to get to the rest of your day, feel free to hop off. We will be sending out a recording of this session after the fact, so you'll have this material to review later on as well.
All right. Well, shoot. Brenna's going to stay on and answer as many questions as she can. She'll continue answering. So yeah, stick around for a little bit if you haven't had your question answered quite yet. So Travis, if I'm a pro and I have more questions, maybe this webinar was really helpful, but a week from now, oh my gosh, I have some more questions. Where do I go? Who do I reach out to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think with that, the first thing is, review this session, apply the tips we've talked about. When you find yourself doing them in the Thumbtack app, there's a lot of sort of like education and writing within that will give you a little more in-depth on each specific thing you're changing. We also want to draw attention to one feature we didn't look at earlier, which is view as a customer. So if I go to my profile, there's a lot of sort of tools that I have available here that customers wouldn't see, like all the editing fields. Come view as a customer, it'll strip all of that away so you can really reflect and see how that translated to the view they're seeing. So you can see here, this is exactly what the customer would see for me. So we think that's a great way to focus some time and be able to really make sure that it's applied as you think it is. And then lastly, my other tip would be visit us at help.thumbtack.com. We have a great library of articles and videos, courses, other webinars you can register for. It's a great ecosystem for finding everything you might want to know. And then we didn't list it here, but we also have community.thumbtack.com. You can make an account there that will tie to your pro account. Ask questions of other pros, what's working well for them. It's a great way to kind of start conversation and hear, not maybe directly from Thumbtack, but from other Thumbtack pros like yourself. So I love that as a resource. We hope to see you on there as well.
All right. Well, shoot. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. That was really fun. We love your feedback again. There's a survey posted in the chat there. If you have time, fill that out. We'd love to hear from you. We love your suggestions, and it's how we make Thumbtack better every single day. It's based on your feedback and suggestions, so keep them coming.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.